Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm from Wisdom Online Education Academy. Our topic is Cardinal Approach to Consumer Equilibrium. Consumer is in equilibrium when he derives the maximum satisfaction for given resources and other conditions. A consumer is said to be highly satisfied when he allocates his expenditure in such a way that the last unit of money spent on each commodity yields the same level of utility. According to Cardinal Approach, the concept of consumer equilibrium has two models. One commodity model in which the consumer equilibrium is determined when he consumes a single commodity, while multiple commodity model, the consumer equilibrium is determined when he consumes two or more commodities. One commodity model states that quantity consumed increases, total utility also increases, but at decreasing rate. It is also called the law of diminishing marginal utility. Under these assumptions, this law will apply. There should be a continuous use the commodity which a consumer is consuming. Units should be homogeneous. Taste of consumer should be same. Income of consumer should not change. The unit of good must be of suitable amount. We explain the law of diminishing marginal utility with the help of this table. Keep all the assumption is in mind that there should be a continuous use of the commodity. Suppose we take an apple. A consumer is consuming first apple. His total utility is 20, while his marginal utility is also 20. As he is consuming the next apple, his total utility increases up to 36, while his marginal utility is decreasing up to 16. So, as he is consuming the next and next apple, his total utility increases, while his marginal utility decreases. The point is come where the marginal utility becomes 0. At that point, the total utility reach at maximum point, that is 60. If a rational consumer still consuming an apple, then his marginal utility becomes negative, and from that point the total utility itself goes down. This is actually the law of diminishing marginal utility. Now we explain the law of diminishing marginal utility with the help of a graph. On x-axis here is a quantity of an apple, while on y-axis the total utility and marginal utility of a consumer. When he consuming first apple, his total utility and marginal utility at point A. As he consuming next and next apple, his total utility increasing but at decreasing rate, as shown in this graph, while his marginal utility decreasing. The point is come where the marginal utility becomes 0. At that point, the total utility reach at maximum, that is 60 at point F. If any irrational consumer still consuming the apple, then marginal utility of consumer becomes negative. At that point, the total utility itself falls at point G. We explain now the consumer equilibrium in one commodity model. The consumer is buying such a quantity of that commodity which gives him maximum satisfaction. It depends upon the two factors, that is the marginal utility and price of that commodity. To determine the equilibrium point, consumer compares the prices of given commodity with its utility. He will be in equilibrium when marginal utility becomes equals to its price. What is consumer surplus? Difference between willingness to pay of the consumer, what he actually paying. That is consumer surplus. Utility is the function of quantity. When we take partial derivation, then we get the marginal utility equation. That is the du divided by dq, that is change in utility to the change in quantity. Now we explain equilibrium of consumer in one commodity model. Marginal utility of curve slope downward, indicating that the marginal utility falls with successive consumption of commodity X due to operation of law of diminishing marginal utility. Price is a horizontal and straight price line. S price is fixed at rupees 4 per unit. Consumer will be in equilibrium at point where marginal utility of X becomes equals to its price. If marginal utility of X is greater than price of X, then consumer is not in equilibrium and he goes on buying because benefit is greater than cost. As he buys more, marginal utility falls because of operation of law of diminishing marginal utility. Similarly, when marginal utility of X is less than price of X, then also consumer is not at equilibrium point and he will have to reduce consumption of commodity X to raise his total satisfaction till marginal utility becomes equals to its price. Second concept of Cardinal Approach is multiple commodity model. This law states that consumer will be in equilibrium at point where he allocates his scarce resources or two commodities in such a way that the ratio of marginal utility attained from the last unit to its price equalizes for all commodities. It is also called the law of equimarginal utility. Derivation of demand curve from Cardinal Approach. A consumer demand curve is a curve which shows how many units of commodity the consumer is ready to purchase at different prices. According to Cardinal Approach, the consumer is in equilibrium where ratio of marginal utility of last unit of good purchased and its price become equal. Now we explain Marshallian approach of two commodities model with help of this table. Suppose income of consumer is 12, price of X is 2 and price of Y is 1. Here, consumer is consuming 3 of good X at price 2 while 6 of good Y at price 1. At price 2, the marginal utility of X is 12 and at price 1 the marginal utility of Y is 6. In first order condition we can see the marginal utility of X is 12 while price of X is 2. On the other side marginal utility of Y is 6 and price is 1. When we solve it, it becomes equal. Now move towards the second order condition. Here the formula is X into Px plus Y into Py equals to income. If we put the values, it also become equal. Now we explain the Cardinal approach graphically. That is, on x-axis there is a quantity demand, while on y-axis there is a prices. As prices of good decreases, the quantity demand increases from 3 to 6, and so our curve moves downward slope. This shows that demand curve which is negatively sloped and shows that the relationship between the demand and prices. Criticism on Cardinal utility approach. Consumer is rational. Utility cannot be measured quantitatively, but only can be ranked. Consumer has always the pairs of two commodities. goods are divisible. Consumer prefer those commodity in which he consume more goods or quantity. Consumer can change their taste, can move from one good to another. Inshallah, in next video, we will explain the ordinal approach. If any query about cardinal approach, then contact us.